Hi, this is Jocelyn Matthews. I'm the community manager at Storj Labs, and we are the creators of Tardigrade. Today, I'm here, as I'm here every Thursday, to talk about developer stuff, and I'm here to shine some light on our bounty. So we are currently looking for one member of the community to build a set of software bindings for PHP. The proposed bounty is $7,500 in storage. What I'll do today really quickly is just talk about the workflow involved and then the requirements, which would be around documentation, API, test and integration, demo app, packaging, and then what the transfer would consist of. First, let's talk about the workflow. It's pretty simple, and it was actually inspired by the workflow at Open Collective because I really liked how they had their bounty program set up. The first thing that you would do is express interest by sending an email to bounty@storj.io. In the email, we ask that you include your experience with PHP and a link to any relevant GitHub repos with code samples of your work. This helps us evaluate your level and your abilities. If you're selected, you'll be assigned the project, and we would jointly agree on an expected time frame for delivery. You don't need to start work until you have approval. There is a little paperwork for the project, but it's fast. Then you create your solution. We will try to be as responsive as humanly possible, and we'll also schedule regular check-ins so that you don't feel like you need to read our minds. Then you open a pull request, get your code reviewed, and incorporate any feedback from us, after which the PR is reviewed, approved, and merged by us. Then you submit your invoice. The invoice needs to have a compatible wallet address that can receive storage token, and then you get paid. So let's move through the requirements document. I just want to say that the whole point of having PHP is that we want to enable developers to build third-party applications. So anything that upholds that ideal is something that we'd be crazy about. And if you have extra ideas of how to make it even better than the requirements doc, feel free to mention that in your email because we can always be better. So that said, the basic thing to understand about the library is that we're expecting it to be based on the uplink-c library that's right now available on GitHub. The link for that is storj/uplink-c. That's the uplink-c library. What is uplink? Uplink contains all of the logic for efficient and secure communication with satellites and with storage nodes. What does that mean? It means encrypting, encoding, and sharding the data before uploading it. And it also means decoding and decrypting the data after downloading it back from the storage nodes. We don't want to re-implement and maintain all of this logic in pure PHP. So what we prefer is to build a PHP wrapper on top of the uplink-c library. Let's talk documentation. The library and associated documentation should ideally be really substantially similar in function to the other programming languages that are supported by Uplink Library. So for consistency, you can check out Node.js, Python, Android, and .NET libraries. The documentation should be written in Markdown, and it should include code samples for all of the functions that are exposed in the library. We'd like that documentation to be hosted as GitHub pages on the GitHub repo of the library. The documentation needs to give detailed instructions of how to use the library in PHP applications. So I'm going to say this slightly tongue-in-cheek, which is, when you're writing your documentation, think of it like you're writing for a friend, but it's like a picky friend who's in a hurry. And that's the kind of level of detail that we would really like to see so that, people can easily and quickly go to the part of the documentation that's going to help them right away, but that there's also enough detail that they really understand the context and can find deeper answers if they need it. And if you have questions about that, we can work with you to give more specification around what we're looking for there. The API of the PHP library needs to follow the structure of the Go and C libraries, and it also needs to reflect idiomatic best practices of the PHP programming language. We use semantic versioning for the uplink library. And once the API is declared as v1.0, we plan to support it backward compatible for the foreseeable future. So therefore, it should be carefully crafted because it's going to be around for a while. The API review will be conducted by the engineering team at Storj Labs before it's declared v1.0. Tests and continuous integration. The GitHub repo should follow best practices for implementing CI quality pipeline for pull requests, and the CI should use the Jenkins server of Storj Labs, similar to the uplink libraries for other programming languages. Unit and integration tests should be implemented to ensure that the PHP library won't break if the underlying uplink-c library is updated to a newer version. One possible way to implement integration tests is through the Storj test network, and I'll put that GitHub link up on the screen for you, as well as in the description box. Making a new release on the GitHub repo should be automated as much as possible. So if it's delivered as a package, the release should be automatically published. If the delivery is a PHP extension, the binary should be attached to the GitHub release. We would like to see a demo application, and the demo should demonstrate the basic operations of the library, including listing buckets and files, uploading and downloading files, sharing access, etc. Packaging. Ideally, the uplink PHP library should be available as a composer package. However, we do acknowledge the added complexity of having the dependency to the native uplink-c library. If this makes it technically impossible to have it as a composer package, the fallback is to make it available as a PHP extension. The uplink PHP library should be capable of uploading and downloading large files with the size of tens and hundreds of gigabytes, if not more. Ideally, this should be possible without modifying the max execution time directive. If that's not possible, then possible alternatives should be discussed with the engineering team of Storj Labs as soon as possible. And that's it. We are really hoping to hear from you, and we're really excited to see where this goes. If you'd like to reach out to us, the email is bounty@storj.io. And good luck, and I'll see you next week.